What's up, guys? It is Jake with Psyched Insights, and today I will be doing a breakdown on GH Research, ticker symbol GHRS, which trades on the NASDAQ. In my opinion, what Compass Pathways is to psilocybin, GH Research is to 5-MeO DMT. It's their bread and butter. Right now, that's the only psychedelic they are working with, and they are working with multiple delivery systems and looking at multiple indications. And the fact that they're looking at so many different indications with one psychedelic is the reason why I like to compare them with Compass Pathways and what they're doing with psilocybin. Before I go any further into the details of GHRS, I would like to make it known that I do hold a position in GH Research, and nothing on this video is financial advice. It's all my opinion. And without further ado, let's get into it. When talking about GH Research, I think we need to first understand that 5-MeO DMT is not the same as NN-DMT. They are actually very different. From reading the trip reports, I myself have never done 5-MeO or DMT. But from reading the trip reports with DMT, it's more of a visual experience from what I've read. And with 5-MeO, you hear time and time again that it is a complete whiteout, and that it is for when people have a good experience with 5-MeO, it's you hear that it's a very spiritual experience. You hear the words ego dissolution described a lot. And a lot of people also have said that it's an overwhelming experience. But we need to, before we get more into GH Research, we need to understand that 5-MeO is completely different than NN-dimethyltryptamine. So just gonna go look right here on Wikipedia to briefly state what 5-MeO is. So 5-MeO DMT, 5-methoxyl NN-dimethyltryptamine, is a psychedelic of the tryptamine class. It is found in a wide variety of plant species and is also secreted by the glands of at least one toad species, the Colorado River toad. And that's where we get the nickname for 5-MeO being the toad. So with 5-MeO DMT, just like DMT, the trip is very short. I've heard in the range between 10 to 20 minutes for most people. And just like DMT, 5-MeO hits the 5-HT2A receptor. It's a 5-HT2A agonist, but it also has some activity at the 5-HT1A receptor. All right, now that we gave a very brief explanation from Wikipedia of what 5-MeO is, let's get into GH Research. So, according to the website, GH Research states, "We are a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company dedicated to transforming the treatment of psychiatric and neurological disorders." So, right away with Compass Pathways, I see the same thing there. They make it known that although their initial focus is with psychedelics, that I guess in the future, they may even look at other types of treatments for mental health disorders. Okay, so let's go on here. It says, "Our initial focus is on developing our novel and proprietary 5-methoxyl NN-dimethyltryptamine, or 5-MeO DMT, therapies for the treatment of patients with treatment-resistant depression, otherwise known as TRD." So for the viewers here who don't know, TRD, treatment-resistant depression, is when someone has tried 2 or more interventions, pharmacological interventions, and they have not seen improvement in their depressive symptoms. Um, we should just make that I should just make that known here. It's not the same thing as major depressive disorder. TRD is still major depressive disorder, but again, it's characterized by having failed 2 or more treatments. And I've seen Atai mention and a couple other companies that around, I believe, 30% of people with major depressive disorder um, are characterized as having TRD. So goes on to say our lead product candidate GH001 is formulated for 5-MeO DMT administration via proprietary inhalation approach. I've heard that in the trials right now, GH Research is using the Volcano device, or something similar to it. I know some of you cannabis smokers probably know what the Volcano is. It's vaporized cannabis into this bag and you inhale it. And GH Research is using this now currently in the trials, but I know that they're trying to look at another device that they could probably get more IP around for these trials. All right, guys. So let's get into what GH Research did to catch my eye. A couple of months ago, I was looking through the PSIL, not a couple months ago. At this point, it was around a year, maybe a year and a half ago. I was looking at the holdings of the PSIL ETF, and I noticed a company called GH Research. I hadn't heard of the company. And when I looked a little deeper, I was surprised to know that at the time, I think they had a market cap of $800 million. I was like, how is no one on Shroomstock's Reddit talking about a company with an $800 million market cap that has, at the time, $300 million in cash? It didn't make sense to me. And then I did a little further digging and I looked into so right here, GH Research announces successful outcome of the phase 2 part of its phase 1/2 clinical trial of GH001 in treatment-resistant depression. So I looked at the study, and again, guys, it's a small study, but clearly this drug has incredible potential. Let's see right here. Primary endpoints met in phase 2 part of clinical trial for GH001 and TRD. 7 of 8 patients, 87.5%, were in remission, MADRS less than or equal to 10 at day 7 after dosing, p-value of less than 0.0001. Pretty significant. And this study was the first to direct me towards understanding the MADRS scoring scale a little bit better. So I'll get a little bit into that in a couple of minutes here. So also another thing with remission is defined as someone, in this example, no longer meeting the criteria for having depression anymore. I'm not going to use the word cured, but because depression could return. It returns in a lot of people, but it's certainly impressive to see 7 out of 8 patients in this trial who had failed 2 or more other interventions find so much relief in their symptoms from a single day of having the drug administered to them. It's truly incredible. Mean change from baseline in MADRS at day 7 after dosing was minus 24.4 points. Guys, I've been following these trials for just around mental health in general for around 2 years. I've never seen minus 24.4 points on the MADRS in any of these trials. Nothing even close to that, actually. I've tended to see around, for a drug that's effective, between 12 and 15, minus 12 and 15 points on the MADRS. I mean, minus 24.4 points. I even made a comment about it on Twitter, and this psychiatrist said, yeah, that's kind of unheard of, to be honest. But he was also sure to mention that it's a very small trial, but guys, when I saw these results, I mean, me personally, I just had to at least invest something in the company right then and there. Um, Later on, as I did more research, I started to build my position in the company and actually was lucky enough to get in at better prices. But let's look a little bit, just a brief rundown of the MADRS. So if you have a 0 to 6 on the MADRS, indicates that the patient is in the normal range, no depression. A score ranging from 7 to 19 indicates mild depression. 20 to 34 indicates moderate depression. A score of 35 and greater indicates severe depression. So if I'm not mistaken, in the trial, prior to having the drug administered to them, the participants, I believe, had an average MADRS score of 30. So then by day 7 after dosing, I guess that would mean they fell into the range of 0 to 6, which is, I mean, it's just truly incredible. Again, small study, but it really stood out to me. And I've been fascinated with this company ever since I saw these results, and coupled with their strong cash position, and later on we'll get into their institutional investment in the company. It's no company is matched even close to the amount of institutional investors in the company. And not only that, the reputation of these institutions such as RA Capital, and a few other companies who had, I looked at their holdings, they had early on invested in Axum Therapeutics, which recently got approval. Recently their drug has hit the market. It's a rapid acting antidepressant, NMDA antagonist. So similar, it works similarly to ketamine, but without the dissociative effects, and it worked very well in trials. So to see that a lot of those companies are also invested in GH research gives me a little bit of confidence that they're on the right track with the opportunities they see to invest in. So guys, let's just take a deeper look at their pipeline here. So as you see, just like Compass Pathways is looking at psilocybin for multiple indications, GH Research is doing the same here with 5-MeO. They are in a phase 2b with treatment-resistant depression. Those results will be released, I believe, by the end of the year for phase 2b. They're looking at bipolar 2 disorder, postpartum depression, both in phase 2a. I believe we also get those results by the end of the year. And they even have GH002, which is via IV administration. It's for a psychiatric or neurological disorder. GH003 for nasal administration. I know Beckley Psytech already is already looking at this route of administration for the drug. So yeah, guys, you got a lot of different areas of neurology and mental health that they're looking at here. I'm really curious to see when they announce what psychiatric or neurological disorder they are announcing for GH002 and GH003. To be honest, I actually don't really, I have no idea what they'll be looking at, but very interested to see what they say. And also, guys, this is kind of key. This is a key point with the company. They're not looking at 5-MeO with any form of psychotherapy. And I'm sure that that's a reason why institutions are more interested in this company than other companies. Also, the short time duration of 5-MeO, that combined with no therapy. I know there's a lot of worries that may not be in the best interest for patients, but guys, this is why they're doing the trials, to see if it's safe and effective. So we'll get more data on that. So also for treatment-resistant depression in their phase 2a trial, guys, what they did is, so they did a dose finding study, but it seems that going into the phase 2B, they're going to be looking at what's called an individualized dosing regimen. And when I looked further into that, what it means is, so they have the trial participant first be administered, excuse me, first be administered a small, I guess, quote unquote, small, it's 5-MeO, it's a powerful substance, but they first have them take 6 mg of 5-MeO. They wait around an hour, and if the person did not reach what they refer to as a peak experience, and they have ways of measuring this, not exactly sure, but if they did not reach a peak experience, then they'll move to a higher dose of 12 mg and further on with 18 mg if they still haven't reached a peak experience. And I completely understand that people would think, I mean, how could you do 5-MeO without any psychotherapy? It's one of the most powerful psychedelic substances on the planet. And these people could totally be right. It could end up being, I mean, it's one of the risks with the company. Perhaps people have adverse reactions to 5-MeO. I've heard instances of flashbacks could be common with 5-MeO, but so far in clinical trials, from what I've seen, they haven't had a big issue with flashbacks. But yeah, as I was saying, with the way they dose it, they up the dose little by little. I think it makes the experience less overwhelming to the person taking the drug. So this is just something to note here. They have an individualized dosing regimen that they are going to be using in the phase 2B trial. And those results are out end of the year. So let's just move on here to competition, guys. They are not the only horse in the race with 5-MeO. They have very notable competition from Beckley Psytech. Beckley Psytech is using the drug with psychotherapy, and Beckley is looking at 5-MeO for treatment-resistant depression. They have an ongoing phase 2A and 2B trial going on, and they're also looking at it for alcohol use disorder with abstinence-based therapy. So again, they're looking at it with therapy, and Beckley Psytech is they're the real deal in my opinion. I've stated this to my friends. Unfortunately, I'm not an accredited investor, so I did not get a chance to invest in Beckley. But when they go public, I certainly will be looking to. I think in terms of hallucinogenic psychedelics, they're the top dog right now. This is just my opinion. The speed at which they've progressed through clinical trials is truly incredible. Not to knock on a tie here, but their DMT program, they've taken quite some time with that program. They, even just today they announced they're still in phase 1. They're going to add a part 3 to phase 1, and meanwhile GH Research has they'll be having proof of concept data from 2 to 3, maybe even 3 trials by the end of this year with 5-MeO, and also their IV administered psilocin, which they think may be able to give more control over the trip. I've heard faster onset, more consistency in the effects of the drug. So this is just one of the companies that GH Research is in competition with. And also something to note, Beckley raised, I believe, an oversubscribed $80 million Series B around a year to year and a half ago. Guys, I can't find another single psychedelic drug that has gotten more investment than 5-MeO. Even Mindset Pharma, for example, with their Family 4, They're looking at DMT and 5-MeO, and it's backed by Otsuka. They're funding the phase 1 trial. Probably will be putting $15 to $20 million into that trial, and then after the results of phase 1A, and they're doing a phase 1B as well, they could sign another deal with that. So, you see a lot of what I guess you would call smart money backing these drugs, and people will say, oh, it's just because of the short duration. That's why they're interested. I think that's part of it. But I also think these short-acting psychedelics could perhaps even be more effective than psilocybin. That's just my opinion. Not a doctor, not a scientist. That's just my opinion. When we see the results from GH Research's phase 2A, I mean, in a larger sample size, if they can get results half as good, I mean, they're golden. They're golden, guys. And a lot of people will also be helped. So I've been really closely following what's going on with 5-MeO. And along with Beckley, you have Lucaris Therapeutics. They are also backed by RA Capital, who owns a little bit more than a 10% stake in GH Research. So you might be thinking, why are they already have a 5-MeO company. Why are they backing another one? Does it mean they're not confident in GH Research? I don't think so. They actually increased their stake in the company substantially a couple of months ago. They went from, I think, around 4,800,000 shares to 5,600,000 shares. So that doesn't exactly scream to me that they're not confident in the company, but they see areas where 5-MeO could be improved. Lucaris is looking at, let's see right here. They're looking at a proprietary sublingual tablet formulation of 5-MeO DMT that dissolves under the tongue within seconds and is absorbed without the need for water. This approach is scalable, eliminates the need for burdensome drug delivery systems. A little knock at GH Research there, guys. No other way of putting it. Simplifies administration and offers the potential for more consistent exposure and more predictable therapeutic benefits in patients. So Lucaris raised a $60 million Series A. Again, I mean, so much money is going into 5-MeO, guys. I'm just going to keep on saying that. I feel like the retail investment community is all hyped up about psilocybin and LSD, which is understandable. They are incredible drugs, and a lot of people have had incredible psychedelic experiences with those substances. But if you're investing in this space, you kind of have to separate your experiences from looking at what could be a better investment opportunity. LSD is great. Could last up to 12 hours. I personally do not see that scaling in any meaningful way. I could get a lot of hate for saying this, but it's just my opinion. And a lot of other, I've talked to angel investors in the space, what you call smart money. None of these guys are invested in MindMed, guys. MindMed, maybe they have a chance to be a successful company. I know they're looking at MDMA. Also, LSD microdosing is interesting. I personally cut ties, I cut losses with the company when they got rid of 18MC. That was the last straw for me. That was it for me. And I put my money elsewhere to where I think it would have a better chance of, growing in the future. So, all right, guys. So we've gone through Beckley Scitech, Lucaris, the competition. Let's do a brief breakdown of their financials. Adam is a lot better when it comes to understanding the financials of these companies. I'm slowly learning more and more. So, all right, guys. Okay, you got here, they're looking at 80 patients for the phase 2B, double-blind study with GH001. All right, guys. So they have cash equivalents, and marketable securities worth $251.7 million as of December 31st, 2022. And I'm just going to get to the point here, guys. They believe that this will lead them into 2026. It's pretty significant, guys. It's a long time for the company to put out more proof of concept data. And hopefully off of that proof of concept data, the stock appreciates in value, and they could raise more money at a more favorable valuation and not dilute us shareholders. But yeah, guys, I mean, I really can't get over the fact that no one talks about this company. It's really bizarre. I mean, bizarre is the only way to put it. I mean, right now they have the largest market cap in the sector. They are in one of the best financial positions, institutional investors, great phase 2A data so far that they put out. I don't get it. And you know, there's not many videos. I only know one video actually that was made about GH Research, and Adam made it a couple of months ago, and I was thrilled when he made that video and did a little rundown of the company. Let's take a look at the holders, who's holding this company. You got 60% institutional ownership. You know, compare that with the tie at 15%. I mean, it's not even close, guys. And a tie, you do have a lot of smart money with the VC funds in a tie, and a tie is my largest position in my portfolio. I'm really confident in their management team and their ability to get these drugs through trials. But it just doesn't compare. Their institutional holdings just don't compare to GH Research. 60% is incredible. Let's see specifically, you know, you got RA Capital. For previously they had 4,898,000 shares, and now they have 5,600,000 shares. They own 10.7% of the company. Venrock Healthcare Capital Partners. Talk about insider ownership, guys. Florian Schoenharding, the co-founder and I believe chairman of the board, owns 14,824,000 shares of the company. He owns 28.5% of the company. You know, he seems to have the same confidence in this company as, you know, someone like Christian Angermeyer would with a tie with his, I believe he owns 23%. You guys could correct me if I'm wrong. So this guy, you know, Florian Schoenharding owns 28.5% of the company, which is pretty incredible, guys. Tice Turway, I believe he's the chief medical officer. He owns 11.9% of the company. You know, guys, not to knock on MindMed here. I'm sorry. I've had MindMed broke my heart. You know, I was in love with the company for a long time before I really did my due diligence on these companies in the space. I promise you guys, the inside ownership and institutional ownership of MindMed doesn't sniff GH Research. Doesn't even come close. Sorry, guys, just had to put that out there. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate from the MindMed community. And you know, once again, guys, MindMed, they have a chance to be successful. I'm not gonna count them out here, but I think they're a mess right now. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate if you watch the whole thing. If not, I still thank you for viewing this video. Guys, if you're viewing this right now and you enjoyed it, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, leave a like, and follow us on Psyched Insights on Twitter. Thank you guys very much, and I hope you guys have a great day.